Google is eating its own lunch. Let me explain. Let's do this by getting into this article. Amazing article by Rebecca Bellin on TechCrunch. We're not going to look at her profile. Let's get into the article. Google's AI search features are killing traffic to publishers. Google's AI overviews and other AI-powered tools, including chatbots, are devastating traffic for news publishers, per Wall Street Journal. Now, this is a bold claim that this is causing the implosion of the internet because this isn't just driving away traffic from news publishers, aka your CNNs, your BBCs, and other news platforms that have an online presence. This is drawing away traffic from every web page that is listed on Google when you search for anything, because you get a nice little blurb that doesn't need you to look further into these other web pages that are giving you the answers that you're looking for. Right? Now that people can simply ask a chatbot for answers, sometimes generated from news content taken without a publisher's knowledge, there's no need to click on Google's blue links. That means referrals to news sites are plummeting, cutting off traffic publishers' need to sustain quality journalism. Why? This is such a vicious cycle, and it gives me a little bit of joy to understand that the tech platforms that might be stealing content from the publishers without their consent are going to be the ones suffering in the end. Let me explain, right? Whenever you create a web page, let's say you buy a domain and you list some static content, maybe it's a blog site, maybe it's a listing platform, whatever it may be, you're generating human-created original content that is going to be useful information for somebody when they come upon your website. Now, you could have an amazing heart and foot the bill for the server cost, the fees for the domain registration, everything, and present all of this content to the rest of the world for free. If you do that, God bless you. But for most publishers, they will put up this content with the intention or the with the expectation that they're going to be making money from creating such content. And if you're hosting it on your own pages, you're probably going to be expecting some kind of ad revenue. Now, the good news is Google works with you to give you ad revenue. Google will have you dedicate some parts of your website to ad space, where Google is going to be serving ads from its own customers on your web page, right? So this is a good handshake relationship that you're going to have with Google. Google is going to be putting ads on your web page, and it's going to be sharing the revenue that it gets from the product that it is marketing for, which you, and in return, you give Google content that people will visit your platform for. Now, here's where this contract kind of breaks down, right? If Google is scraping information from your platform without your consent and then using that knowledge to automatically serve answers that are AI summarized or AI generated, when somebody searches for something that could have led them to your page, they're actually stealing ad revenue, or Google is actually depriving you of the ad revenue that you could have enjoyed if that person landed organically on your web page, clicked on those ads because, I don't know, those ads were relevant to whatever your blog post was about, right? Everybody would have made money in that situation. Everybody would have won. The tragedy here, though, is that a lot of small-time companies, a lot of small-time publishers don't have the war chest of funds to be setting up rigorous anti-scraping strategies, right? Like, for example, if you try to scrape data off of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is going to rate limit your IP, maybe even add your IP to a deny list, maybe even deactivate your account. But for most publishers that are independent, they don't have such rigorous strategies in place that prevent their data from being scraped. Google released AI Overviews, the search summary tool, last year. Its rollout hit traffic to sites like vacation guides, health tips, product reviews, all run by small-time creators who are just trying to get in a little bit of that search revenue, per the journal. AI Mode, Google's ChatGPT competitor, expected to hit traffic harder. It responds in a conversational tone with fewer external links. For the New York Times, the share of traffic from organic search to the paper's desktop and mobile sites fell to 36.5% in April of this year, down from 44% 3 years earlier, according to data from similar web cited in the Wall Street Journal report. Let's talk about the ad ecosystem a little bit, right? There's three players here. There's the content creators who are creating websites and adding content to those websites. There are the various companies that want their products advertised, who are paying money to Google to advertise their products. And then there's search engines like Google. Google provides a very, very key service, and I would say that Google, instead of a search engine, really is in the business of advertisement bidding. You see, whenever you put up a web page or whenever you have a presence online, you are going to offer ad space on your websites, on your web pages. Google, whenever somebody visits that web page, is going to be um, bidding for placing an ad on those web page real time, and the advertiser that wins that bid ultimately gets space on that particular ad space, and you get revenue from those ads courtesy of Google. The thing that's a little confusing here is Google actually is going to be losing revenue in the long run because of this. Because at the end of the day, if um, if Google is driving clicks away from all of these organic search hits and instead is getting people satisfied with these AI summaries, people aren't really going to be clicking these web pages. People are not going to forget the second page of search results. People are not even going to scroll to the first couple of search results. Now, there's a couple of ways Google is trying to combat this cannibalism. It is trying to, let's say, include ads in the very first uh, piece of real estate on your screen when you search for something. Maybe before you get an AI overview, you're going to see a few ads that are relevant to your experience. This might be disruptive to your question and answer interaction. You may want to go over to other platforms like ChatGPT, which charge you for a subscription, and that's how they keep your business. That's how they make the money and stay afloat at the time, at least in present time. I don't know if they're going to have to come up with another way to make revenue because they certainly are not making enough money to keep their servers online and to pay for all of the cloud bills that they're incurring. But I don't think this is a sustainable way for Google to continue to do its business. I think this also cannibalizes Google's business in another pretty sinister way, which is if publishers or content creators, people that are creating these web pages and standing up blog posts and other informational entries on the internet, realize that, hey, we're not really getting any search traffic from Google, we're not really getting any hits, we're not really getting any ad revenue from Google, and the only thing we have to show for our hard work is getting scraped to oblivion by Google just so they can provide their AI generated overviews on page 1 and bury me in the bottom of the page or maybe in page 2 or 3. Why would I put up content? This plays into or feeds another problem that is affecting all AI companies right now, which is the lack of organic data. In order for models to keep getting better and better, we need to keep providing high quality, human generated training data. And if publishers, and even without publishers and content creators moving away from creating these websites organically, there already is a lack of new data that these AI models can be trained on. Now, if they just realize, like, hey, hang on, we're getting the short end of the stick, we're not really benefiting from creating websites anymore, then this is going to exacerbate that problem, right? This would not have been an issue if Google had a lot of other ways to make money, but let's take a quick look at Google's breakdown for how they make money. And this is from an article in 2024, Q1 of 2024, so not too long ago, right? 57.3% of Google's revenue comes from search advertising, the kind of advertising we talked about. Another 10% comes from YouTube. Now, YouTube, for the most part, is fairly protected, I want to say, because at the end of the day, the ads that you get from YouTube are placed or embedded in videos that are user created. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. The Google Ad Network also plays into what we were talking about earlier, right? You search for things and you eventually land on an ad via a web page that is indexed by Google, and you give your clicks, the advertisers pay their money, and the content creators get paid. And then you have Google Cloud, which accounts for 11.9% of the way Google makes money, and this is a growing section of their business. But there's always other better players like Azure or AWS. So I don't really think Google's going to be the market leader in cloud services. And then you have hardware, and it is getting its lunch eaten. It has been getting its lunch eaten by Apple since day one in this business. So I don't really see a future if Google continues to scrape off of the content, scrape off of web pages without the permission of publishers. And providing AI overviews instead of directing users to the web pages of these content creators. I don't see, if Google continues to do this, how Google can continue to remain a market leader in anything. And the internet is just going to collapse. Anyway, I hope you thought that rant was useful in some way. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you in the next video.